Well, hello, everybody. Happy New Year. Happy 2021. And welcome to Season 2, Episode 4 of On the Verge podcast. I hope everybody out there is doing amazing. How are you doing today, Tami?
I am doing very well, thank you. We are in the new year, and the first 2 weeks have been quite a ride so far.
Yes, to say the least.
It's good to be back recording and having these conversations, and I'm really fired up about it. I'm excited.
Oh, yes. And I didn't even spend the time myself personally this year making any New Year's resolutions. It was just to get through 2020. And, I think you just go up from there. So
I'm with you. I think a lot of the conversations and text messages I had right at the end of the year, the 30th and the 31st, were a lot of just like, hey, we made it. Oh my gosh, we made it. And I think that's all it was. Let's just get through 2020 as opposed to looking too much into 2021. You have those high level ideas of where you want to go and what you want to do. But it wasn't very prescriptive this year at all.
No.
Keep surviving and thriving.
Yes. Keep surviving and thriving. Yeah. I mean, in those cases, you just got to push through. Our topic today, you and I were kind of chatting about it a little bit here a few minutes ago, but our topic today it's going to be about taking time for yourself, as entrepreneurs, hell, even people that work 9 to 5s in corporate America or whatnot, we here in America have always of that mindset, like we always have to keep working. We don't use our vacation time at work. If we're building a brand or we're working for ourselves, it's the 24/7 grind, wake up at 5 a.m., go to bed at 2 a.m., and all of those different things. And we do pour so much of ourselves into our business, into our community, into the things around us. But I think as you become an entrepreneur and you're in it long enough, and you, in some cases, unfortunately, may reach your breaking points, and realize what is missing or something is missing, you inevitably realize that you need to take time for yourself. And whatever that looks like, whether it be a day off of no communication, a vacation, doing whatever it is, but making yourself a priority. That usually kind of happens, like I said, at a breaking point or rock bottom of sorts. And one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this topic today, though, is, and every listener out there knows, if there's one thing you know about Tami and I, we speak from real world experiences, and we talk about the things that we are going through or that we just went through, so that you know that you're not alone. And one of us, not me, but one of us.
Oh, wow. What are those odds now?
Yes. One of us kind of went through this toward the end of 2020. And, and I'll let you speak to it, obviously, but, just a combination of circumstances and stuff, lockdown, pandemic, work, grind, hustle, fear, all of these things. And you finally, Tami, you reached a point. So let's kind of go a little deeper and let's kind of set it up and what was going on with you and where did that lead you?
Absolutely. And I'm so glad you bring this up, because I think it's something so many of us are facing or have faced at some point in our lives. Now, I've been through burnout before. I was a year into entrepreneurship, and absolutely, we often say rock bottom, or what's below rock bottom. It's sort of
Core of
between
the earth.
rock bottom and core of the earth. So I've been there. I feel like on my entrepreneurship journey, I've been there multiple times, and because you've been there a couple times, you sort of know how to get yourself out of it, and you know those different triggers. You understand what you need to do to support yourself to be able to get out of that. So whether it is a therapist, whether it's going to the gym with a personal trainer, or taking a walk every day, or being active for 20 minutes, eating healthy, seeing friends, things like that. Those are all great factors in that you can factor into getting out of that burnout or restoring your sense of your soul. Fast
Yes.
forward to 2020. And now suddenly you don't have the accessibility you once had to your group of friends. Yes, there's only so much you can do on a Zoom call.
Yes.
Yeah, and we'll get to that a little bit about a hug too,
There's
and
only
how
so many
important your hugs
cocktails
are.
there's only so many cocktails I can have over
Hey,
Zoom. Let's
listen,
be
I
honest.
gave up the Zoom happy hour in April. So let's just be clear, the Zoom happy hour is never doing it for me. And also, you going to the gym was no longer an opportunity. In many senses, many folks did not have that opportunity to go to a gym in the same way that they could have, for whatever those underlying factors were. Some can, some can't. A personal trainer, a therapist, therapy over Zoom is just not doing it for me. I spend my whole
Yes.
day on Zoom. I spend many, many hours on Zoom. So
Yes.
and not having a lot of that toolbox there for you to cope and survive becomes really challenging. Now, for
Yes.
someone who traveled frequently, now maybe every week, every other week, I was on the go. I had that opportunity, hop on a plane. I would do a lot of work on the plane. It was uninterrupted. It was a really, really productive time for me. And then immerse into another culture, setting, vibe, energy. It was very restoring for me. For some folks, it's incredibly draining. For me, it's what keeps me alive. It fuels the magic in my soul.
Yes.
And yes, I'm off the charts extrovert. And while I have fully enjoyed the pandemic and being locked down, there were many areas where I felt I just was dull. The lights
Yes.
had been turned off for many
Mhm.
reasons, for many factors, pouring into clients, having a very diversified focus, relationships that just were not at the level that they deserved to be at. And I
Yes.
say not needed to be or wanted to be, I say deserved, because that is so critical for us to understand the type of interactions we have are so deserved, are so warranted, are so needed in this time at the expectation that you put out there. And so that was a gap. uh, Not seeing people, not traveling, not being around. And yes, I understand it is such a tough opportunity for everyone just to say, oh, you know what, I'm going to go travel. Well,
Yes.
yes, I understand that might sound reckless to you. That might sound,
Hmm.
something that, well, just hop on a plane. And I had not left a 5 mile radius of Atlanta
Yes.
until the end of November.
Yes.
And it was weighing on me. And you know this very well.
Yes. 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 I remember through the fall, and I am planning trips. I came down to Atlanta in the fall, recorded some episodes, and I was down there again in December. I was there in September. Um, I went to visit my family in Florida and at Christmas, and I don't know, I feel like I did. Oh, I went to Fort Worth in November. So I have been out there and I traveled and and let it be clear, this isn't one of those conversations where we're trying to gauge, who's comfortable with traveling or not and going down that rabbit hole. But,
Yeah.
basically what it was is I had found ways to do it in responsible ways, but also tapping into something that I had loved and missed so much and trying to find the right ways to incorporate that back into my life. So I remember you and I, we had talked many times throughout the fall, and you had a genuine fear of going to the airport. I mean, Atlanta airport is not an airport to play fool around with. Then to get on an airplane, travel to another part of the country, and just, there was some genuine fears with that, rightfully so. Um, but I remember there was a trip you were supposed to go on in November, and I think you earlier in November, and you decided not to go. But then last minute, you decided to go on holiday with some friends from South Africa. Was it Thanksgiving or is it after
It was
Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving. It was.
Yes.
And I
So
tell you
let us
what,
know, like, once not even the thought process about the decision to go and everything, but like once you got there and you were amongst people and you were there, what was going through your mind and what was that feeling like for you?
Yes, and I want to go back and say, look, this is not a
Yes.
conversation about you hopping on a plane, not going somewhere, traveling, whatever. That's not the conversation. The conversation is specifically about doing what's right for you, for your family, for your well-being, and how you
Yes.
can stay well and mentally
Hmm.
well during these
Yeah.
times. Dare I say, one more time, unprecedented times. And so I remember there was no decision. It was, you've got to go. I, I had reached a point with,
Yes.
listen, this is it. And so I remember landing and having taken a COVID test and being
Hmm.
very prepared. So I had removed all the fear
Hmm.
that I had going into it. So I had removed those controllable areas
Yes.
where I said, okay, I'm prepared from a work standpoint, I'm prepared from a self-health standpoint. I
Yes.
tested, I had masks, I was very well prepared, so I didn't have to have that hanging over me. And
Exactly.
as well as the folks that I was traveling with. Now, if you are from another country, if you are from another city, and you are immersed in an environment that are folks that you grew up with, or just your people, it
Mhm.
is unbelievably restoring. It is a beautiful thing,
Yes.
and it was just pure magic. I did not hear an American accent, I think, for 7 days. I'm convinced my accent got a little bit stronger, and
Yes.
but it was beautiful. It was something that you just take a breath and your whole being is just sort of like, oh, I can feel a little bit of that magic coming in. And it's not something that just happens with a light switch going off. You can start feeling a little bit more excitement. You can start feeling a little bit more of that spontaneity and excitement you once had
Yes.
creeping back in. And I think I told you, I was like, oh, wow, I think I'm starting to feel like myself again. And it
Yes.
made me realize how dull my spirit had been. I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa. And I remember you saying, yeah, I know. I was
No,
like,
I mean,
wow.
and yeah, no, and that's very true. And there's a couple of points that you brought up that I want to elaborate on and call out. The first one that we kind of brought up, we talked about was fear. And fear can, and we've talked about this in other episodes too, but how fear manifests itself in our
Yeah.
life, whether it be our personal life, our business life, and everything. And a lot of
Mm,
entrepreneurs, of why they don't take that time for themselves and take a take a day or take a step back from their business and just look inward, is that fear that they have, where it's like, well, if I'm not accessible today, I
yeah.
might lose business. If I'm not,
Oh.
if I can't answer a client email, I might get a bad review. If I'm not fully
Mm-hmm.
100% unapologetically immersed in my business 24/7, then in that minute, that day, that week that I'm away or that I'm not there, something is going to happen and my whole business is going to collapse.
Yeah.
And that's a very easy thought to have. And part of that can go to just having or not having, in some cases, that processes and procedures in place in your business to allow you to take some time away. um, we're not talking about going on we're talking about time away short of sabbaticals.
Oh, of course.
no you
You,
know
yes,
but
yes,
but
yes.
if you are keep pushing, and even 9 to 5s, in the workplace, you're a project manager and you start a new project, and during that 6 week, 3 month project, however long it is, there's never a good time to leave. And right when you're reaching your breaking point, now you're at launch of the project. So you definitely can't leave at launch. Then there's
No.
maybe a week or two in between other project so there's never a good time to leave if you're looking for it, or to take that time for yourself. And that
There
time
is.
for yourself, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. What were you going to say?
No, I was going to say there's never a good time, and you will always find a reason not to go.
Exactly. Exactly. And and the time that you take for yourself, it doesn't have to be a full week. It doesn't have to be Monday through Friday. It can be those Saturdays and those Sundays. And what do those look like for you? Perfect example, this past week on Thursday now, I'm a real estate agent, so my Thursday in some cases can be my Saturday compared to other people. But I, if I, my mantra that day was, if I can't do it from bed, I'm not going to do it. Now I had my laptop in bed with me and I was kind of doing some work, but I was doing a little work from bed. I was relaxing. I was watching TV. I didn't get in the shower and get and wash up until 7, 8 p.m. that night. And that was after the gym. But I needed this day because I knew I I got home at 9 p.m. the night before. I'd been running ragged. I've been negotiating all week and this and it just I knew I needed Thursday so that my Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday can be that more productive. So
Mm-hmm.
it's those mindsets and another point that you made kind of once you got to your trip with your friends, it's not even, this conversation, it's not even about taking a trip per se. It's tapping into those things that have brought you joy, that brings you joy. So when you finally do take that time, tapping into those things that bring you joy. So if you're taking a day off and you enjoy reading, finding a way to read a book, read books. If it's binge watching, if it is traveling, you said you hadn't gone in a outside of a 5 mile radius. You don't even have to jump on a plane for you yourself in your situation
Yeah.
to get away. You can
Yeah.
drive 2 hours away and just a change of scenery and go to a coffee shop 2 hours away and just breathe in other air, look at other people, change your mind, and just all of these different things. Um, and that's I've always said one of the things I love about vacationing so much. Um, it's not even it's not always the experiences that I'm having when I'm vacationing. It's when I come back, I am truly energized. I'm rejuvenated. I'm rejuvenated. Um, I have so much energy to put back into my business
Yeah.
and my creative ideas. I I come up with half my ideas on the plane or in the
I
car
love
ride or
it.
whatever. Yeah.
No, I think that's so important. And what you say is that when you've worked so hard for what you're doing because you have found every excuse in the world not to take time for you, that it's
Yes.
going to become increasingly harder for you to
Mhm.
pour into others. So just
Yes.
as much as you are giving and giving and giving, that you will reach a point, unless even during that period of time you are giving to yourself. I'm not saying, listen, push, 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 and then reach breaking point and then take time for yourself. I've learned
Yes.
I've got to do that throughout that period. And
Hmm.
really, you have been the one that has really taught me how to do that and have been pushing me to do that for the past many, many years. And so don't push, go from 0 to 100 or 0 to 60. It's 100 kilometers. So that's why 0 to 100.
Oh yes.
Um,
Yes.
that you are go, go, go. And then you take time for yourself. How do you find a way to go in sprints, take a bit of a
Yes.
breath, sprint, take a bit of a breath? And so I knew that going into this year, I needed to bring my full, authentic, energized, magic filled soul into what I'm doing, because
Yes.
it would be such a huge push going into the new year. And
Absolutely.
I just had to. And now most Saturdays, I'm finding a bit of a rhythm. I don't necessarily, and we can talk a little bit about those routines that we have. Maybe it's starting our
Mhm.
day or whatever that looks like, to take little nuggets of time for yourself. And I know
Yes.
you are absolutely religious about the practice of taking time for yourself.
In some cases to a fault, but yes, I I mean, but yeah, but no, I would agree.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and and then here we are at the beginning of the year and kind of to the point you were just making, looking at how you're going to move forward this year based on the mistakes you made last year with those
Yeah.
boundaries and that time for, whether it be the time that you take for yourself or the time that your clients take of you. And that's another thing that's so important too, even in the day to day of your business, you know, um, how, not even just how how accessible are you are to your clients, but how are your clients and what are those boundaries that you're setting with them, with your communication with them, with your accessibility and availability to them. Um, my phone is on do not disturb from 7 a.m. or excuse me, from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. After 9 p.m., if I get a text or call, most of the time it makes no difference if I reply to you at 9 p.m. or at 8 a.m. It's all the same. Nothing we can do, nothing we can change. So I've more or less have set even those boundaries, you know,
Is that a boundary
and
you
things.
communicated with clients, or is that just something you have
No,
instilled?
that's something I've had instilled because, um, one, part of it too, like I don't want my client to think like they can't text. Some people, yeah, they'll they'll just, their mind will run wild at night and they're shooting off the text and this and that, and that's fine and dandy. But for my own self, I don't have the expectation that I need to respond right away or
Mm-hmm.
anything. If I'm there and if it's no sweat off my back, you might get a thumbs up or something, but a lot of times it doesn't need to be engaged in a full conversation at 9:30
Mm-hmm.
at night,
Yeah.
unless we're bottom line in a purchase agreement. But most of the most of the time, it's not that. So yeah, so it's so even me and the first few clients I've been working with so far this year, I've been internally making adjustments to my own boundaries that I set with my clients and how I interact with them or respond to them, or anything like that. So yeah. So wherever you're listening from and listening at, I hope you have a great day and we'll talk to you soon.